I was dared is probably too strong of a word. I was challenged. I was encouraged on this week's episode to consider the recently released video for Taylor Swift's song Opalite. And since I have been listening to quite a lot of new music with the goal of actually doing a music episode, it feels as though the gauntlet thrown is a timely one. And so I'm going to talk about Taylor. I'm going to talk about one or two other new songs that I've heard recently that you might enjoy. And I shall attempt to wax semi-eloquent about all of that after we do the thing. I want you to know that it's about 7:15 a.m. as I record this. This is my commitment to you, faithful listener, that I'm up early recording before work so as not to leave you without an episode this week. And if you know me at all, you know that's a problem, because anytime I know I gotta get up early, I don't sleep all night. I have a mental block about that. And so I get jumpy about knowing I'm going to have to get up early and knowing that it's going to make me tired all day. And I am making that sacrifice for you right now. I'm 3 sips of coffee in, so I don't know how well this is going to go. But such is my commitment to you. What is Opalite anyways? It may surprise you to know, gentle listener, that I've listened to more Taylor Swift than you might expect. Now, we know collectively my views on most pop music. I do not enjoy it, I am not the target market, and I'm not interested, period. But I've listened to more Taylor than you might expect, because I have friends who are Swifties, people who I enjoy, and so as a means of building bridges to those people, I have listened to some Taylor. Plus, she's bloody ubiquitous, man. You can't really get too far away from Taylor Swift. And that's okay. What I have observed from the bit of listening I have done so far is that Taylor Swift is actually quite a clever lyricist. And she's a good and a legit songwriter. I mean, a lot of the music you hear on pop radio is throwaway. It is empty, it is soulless, it is void, and it serves its purpose, which is to make your hips wiggle, and that's okay. That's fine, I'm not dogging on anybody. Lyrically, a lot of the time, you're only going skin deep, all right? Let's be honest, we're not listening to most pop music trying to bask in any real poetry, but I've noticed that Taylor Swift is quite a clever lyricist, and there's a lot going on in a lot of those songs. She's really good at a double entendre. She's really good at metaphor. She's really good at Easter eggs. I know Swifties are huge on all of the Easter eggs that are in the songs. Really got a clever turn of phrase. She's a good lyricist. She's very poetic, and she probably doesn't get enough credit for that because she's so damn popular. And once you reach a certain level of popularity, and I don't know if there's ever been anybody as popular as she is, automatically you get kind of tossed out as an artist by a lot of the masses. She's just manufactured bubblegum pop, she's whatever. And it's like, no, she actually writes the songs, man. Maybe she has help, maybe she has co-writers, I don't know. But the kid is a good writer. And if you read into her lyrics, there's a lot going on there. And so I can confess to you that I gave up poetry explications the second I walked out of my undergrad, or I don't do that anymore. But this song is interesting, and I was challenged to look at Opalite. And so what is Opalite? Opalite, as a substance, is basically man-made glass. I mean, it mimics and is meant to look like moonstone or opal. And so it is man-made, and that becomes important symbolically. Now, I don't know the whole Taylor Swift story. There's a lot to be read there, okay? But this symbolism of opalite being a man-made substance, and a beautiful one, is important to this song. What is the song? Well, it's a Taylor Swift song. My dear, dear friend Kay Howell does a Taylor Swift mashup of like 10 songs without really changing the chords at all. So we play it together, and she's like, I'm going to do the Taylor Swift thing, all right? Just give me this beat, and I do. And then I just hold that beat for 10 minutes, and she plays through a whack of songs, and they don't fundamentally change all that much. Again, that's not a dog. That's just saying it sounds like a Taylor Swift song, and you kind of recognize one when you hear it. It's got an 80s flavor, and the video actually pays homage to that. Now, the video's it's been out for a couple of days. It's had millions of views already, as you might expect. I mean, there's a level of fame and popularity that the rest of us just can't even possibly contemplate. Taylor Swift is at it. I don't know if anybody else is. And this song, I think, is meant to be an encouragement that, like Opalite, our happiness, our fulfillment, our satisfaction is man-made. I don't mean to be chauvinistic in that statement, but I mean people-made. I think the gist of this song is that we can rely upon ourselves for our own happiness. And so the song begins, I gather, with a verse kind of written in the voice of Taylor Swift's mom. Well, it starts off with Taylor singing, I had a bad habit of missing lovers past. My brother used to call it eating out of the trash. It's never gonna last. I thought my house was haunted. I used to live with ghosts. And all the perfect couples said, when you know, you know. And when you don't, you don't. And all of the foes and all of the friends have seen it before. They'll see it again. Life is a song. It ends when it ends. I was wrong. And now Mom's voice comes in. But Mama told me it's all right. You were dancing through the lightning strikes, sleepless in the onyx night. But now the sky is opalite. Oh, 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 my Lord. Never made no one like you before. You had to make your own sunshine, but now the sky is opalite. Oh, 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 oh. You can get a long way in a pop song with oh, oh, ohs and whoa, whoa, whoas. I've talked about that before. And so here's this message from Taylor's mom. That's like, you can rely upon yourself for your own happiness. You were dancing through the lightning strikes, sleepless in the onyx night, but now the sky is opalite. Why is the sky opalite? Why is the sky this man-made beautiful thing? Because she has made it so herself. She has not relied upon, or she's moved through relying upon these lovers past to give her her sense of validation, her sense of value. And she's moved into this opalite sky, which is man-made, which she has made herself. And then apparently, verse 2 is Taylor Swift talking to Travis Kelce, who you may know by now is her boyfriend. And apparently, opal is his birthstone. So another symbol, another layer to dig your little teeth into on these Taylor Swift lyrics. She says, you couldn't understand it. Why you felt alone. You were in it for real. She was in her phone, and you were just a pose. And don't we try to love? We give it all we got. You finally left the table, and what a simple thought. You're starving till you're not. And apparently, this is a dig at Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend, Kayla Nicole, who is a sports reporter, and they dated off and on, whatever. I don't know the history here. I don't care about celebrity stuff. But apparently, at least in Taylor's view, Kayla Nicole was using her relationship with Travis Kelce as kind of a personal branding project. So a lot of Instagram posting about it, not a lot of real connection behind the scenes. And so we have poor Travis Kelce, poor, hard put upon Travis Kelce in a relationship with this woman who's using it way more for the gram than for real life. And so he eventually got away from that, found real love, a real connection, a real relationship with Taylor. You finally left the table, and what a simple thought. You're starving till you're not, and ain't that just like life? Ain't that just like life? For some of you who may be in the listening audience right now in a non-reciprocal relationship, in a relationship whereby you sit at the table friggin' starving, and Taylor says to all of you, get up and leave the damn table. You're starving until you're not. If you're starving in your relationships, kids, you're only starving until you're not, till you get up and leave that table and find yourself a better table to sit at where the food is shared. Just saying, Taylor, don't take it from me, all of you out there who might be in this position. Take it from Taylor. Time to leave the table. Go get yourself fed, man. And all of the foes and all of the friends have messed up before, they'll mess up again. Life is a song. It ends when it ends. You move on. And that's when I, Taylor says, told you, presumably Travis Kelce, it's all right. You were dancing through the lightning strikes, sleepless in the onyx night, but now the sky is opalite. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, my Lord, never met no one like you before. You had to make your own sunshine, but now the sky is opalite. Oh, 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 oh. This is just a storm inside a teacup, but shelter here with me, my love. Thunder like a drum, this life will beat you up, 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 up. This is just a temporary speed bump, but failure brings you freedom, and I can bring you love, 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 love. This is just a temporary speed bump. Sometimes you gotta go through difficult stuff. Sometimes you get knocked back. Sometimes in order to find that opalite sky, and sometimes in order to find that man or self-made state of happiness, satisfaction, fulfillment, sometimes you've got to go through a difficult thing. Sometimes you've got to go through a speed bump. Sometimes you've got to go through a temporary setback or something that is intimidating, something that is frightening, something that will take something out of you. But you have to, at a certain point, ask yourself the question, is it better to stay in this circumstance that I'm in, which may be familiar but awful, or to go over that speed bump, to go over that temporary setback in pursuit of what awaits you on the other side? Eventually, many of us have to make that choice in life. Are we going to settle for where we are that makes us unhappy? Or are we going to endure the challenging part? Are we going to endure the frightening part? Are we going to push past that fear and step into this new life that awaits you on the other side? I talk about this all the time. Failure brings you freedom. Read into that what you will. Failure brings you freedom. And I can bring you love, 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 love. Don't sweat it, baby. It's all right. You were dancing through the lightning strikes. Oh, so sleepless in the onyx night. But now the sky is opalite. Oh, 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 my Lord. Never met no one like you before. You had to make your own sunshine, but now the sky is opalite. Oh, 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 oh. Now the sky is opalite. And I love the message here. I love the message here. The sky is the most beautiful thing. Sometimes you look up at the sky and you're just devastated by how beautiful it is. Taylor Swift is saying, and I concur, that you can make your own beautiful sky, kids. Now the sky is opalite. Now your sky is this man-made thing, is this personally made thing, this beautiful atmosphere that surrounds you, this life, this world that surrounds you. You can make yourself. You can make your own happiness. You don't have to rely on somebody else. That is the message of this song, I think. But you have to choose it. What do I keep saying? You have to choose your happiness. And yes, sometimes that requires going over a speed bump. Sometimes that requires stepping into a setback or what would feel like one. Sometimes it's tough, man. Sometimes you got to go through a difficult process to get to the other side. But the point is you can make that choice. The point is all of us every day, here and now, have this choice to pursue our own happiness or to settle for a lack of our own happiness. But the point is, you don't have to rely on somebody else to make it. You don't have to rely on somebody else to make your happiness for you. In fact, you can't. You can't rely upon somebody else to make your happiness for you. You must do it yourself. and you have the power to do so. And then becometh the sky opalite, this man-made beautiful thing of your own creation. But it doesn't happen by accident. It happens by decision. It happens by choosing the happiness you want. It happens by choosing the happiness you want. You cannot sit and wait for it to come to you. You must eventually choose yourself. You must eventually choose your own happiness, or stay forever trapped like Travis Kelce at that table starving. The choices are yours, but you have the power within you to do that. It just comes down to usually at what point does not changing hurt worse than changing? And that becomes a fundamental question for most people at some point in their life. At what point does change hurt less than staying the same? I can't answer that for you, but it becomes an important thing, and that's what Taylor's talking about. And so the video for this song was released last week. Okay, that apparently met with enormous fanfare online. I wasn't part of that because I'm not really part of the Taylor Swift universe, although aren't we all part of the Taylor Swift universe? And the video is fun. It's a story video. The song definitely has an 80s flavor, and that's reflected, as I said, in the video. Starts off with kind of an 80s flavored infomercial for this miracle product called Opalite, and it's an aerosol can. And what it does is it takes away your problems. You spray a bit of Opalite on it, and it takes away whatever your problems are. And so we meet these characters in this world who are very obviously in bad relationships. Taylor Swift is in I guess, kind of a frenemy situation with a rock. So her best friend, I don't know if it's supposed to be a boyfriend because it's got a friendship bracelet on it. Her best friend is a rock. And she's carrying this rock around, and she's at karaoke with the rock, and she's doing yoga with the rock, and she's at the bar with the rock, and she's not getting anything back from the rock. She's trying real hard. She's taking the rock everywhere. You know, she's giving everything she's got to the rock. Rock is not responding. She's getting nothing back from that. And then there's a dude who's in a relationship with a cactus. Wants to touch the cactus. Wants to be nurturing with the cactus. Wants to be physically affectionate with the cactus. Keeps cutting himself. Keeps poking his fingers. Keeps poking his arms. He's just covered in bandages because he's with this prickly cactus, right? And there's another person who is, her boyfriend is just trash. Literally a trash can with trash. Just like the first verse of the song. And eating out of the trash, right? And so all of these people are in these wrong relationships with inanimate objects. And I know some of you out there feel as though you're in a relationship with an inanimate object too. And they don't know what to do. Well, along comes the can of Opalite you can buy. Again, along comes this can of man-made, self-made happiness that you can spray on those problems you've got and make them go away. You choose yourself, you make a lot of problems go away. Interesting, right? And so dude sprays the cactus and it's gone. Taylor Swift's character, not coincidentally, sprays herself. Hey, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. There's a whole thing happening there. And the point is you can spray this Opalite and all of a sudden your problems go away. When you choose yourself, when you choose to make your own happiness, when you choose what fulfills you, a lot of your problems go away or at least become manageable. And so the dude with the cactus and Taylor's character find each other. They're right for each other and they're two geeks and they go about their lives being happy and they enter a dance competition and they're terrible. And the judges flash zeros at them and they don't care. They're enraptured. They love each other. They're having a great time. It doesn't matter what the expectations of the world are. Once you if what makes you happy is finding another person, these two find each other and then they're at the mall and somebody's got a can of anti-Opalite. the reverse formula, and they're about to spray a sample, and the guy jumps in front of him and knocks it out of his hands like, no, don't reverse it. I want this life. It worked, I chose myself. I chose my own happiness. And I found this person and we're happy together, and don't mess with it. Leave it. And the video goes on with this kind of story of two people choosing their own happiness, choosing their own Opalite, and finding each other and fitting together in a way that makes them both enormously happier than they would have been had they stayed in their situations and not chosen their own happiness, not chosen the Opalite. And ain't that just a lesson for all of us kids? Now, I had at least one Taylor Swift fan tell me that they didn't really like the video. Didn't really do it for them, liked some of Taylor's other videos better. Can't comment on that. Haven't seen them. But I do like the message in this one, and it falls in line with the ethos of this podcast, which is about choosing your own happiness, which is about pushing through fear and going after those things that intrigue you, those things that fulfill you, those things that inspire you. This whole program is, in effect, about Opalite. And I keep banging the drum. No pun intended, being a drummer. At least I used to be. I keep banging the drum about not settling for what you know doesn't make you happy. And I keep banging the drum for you can pursue the things that do make you happy. And I keep banging the drum that says life is short, kids. I keep banging the drum that says time is not permanent. And every day that you sit like Travis at that table starving is another day gone. And the question becomes, when are you going to spray your own Opalite? The question becomes, when are you going to self-make that beautiful world around you? When? Tomorrow? 6 months from now? 5 years from now? Are you finally going to say enough is enough? And I'm going to choose my own happiness now? I know there's going to be speed bumps. All right, I know there's going to be stuff that you have to get through. But you have to get through it either way. If you're going to choose your own happiness, you've got to get through it. So are you going to get through it now and have it done? Or are you going to get through it in 2 years and have it done? I can't answer that for you. You can only answer it for yourself. And as I say, a lot of the time, it merely comes down to the breaking point at which change is less frightening than staying the same. You got to make that choice, but your Opalite is there for you. And the message is, you choose yourself, you can spray away a lot of your problems, kids. And ain't that right, Taylor Swift? I got at least one more thing I want to talk about real quick. I got to do this fast because I do have to get to work. It's literally 7 a.m. as I'm doing this on 3 sips of coffee. So I hope you appreciate the effort. But I've been listening to a lot of music. Those of you who have been around a long time know that I used to talk about a lot of music on here, and I made it kind of a quest to do like a song of the week. And I talk about a lot of music, and I used to have playlists on Spotify, and I may or may not do another one that just had all the songs because I can't play the songs on the show. And it's annoying and it drives me crazy that we're still working off, as I've said, copyright laws from piano sheet music 100 years ago. But I'll get in trouble on YouTube or I'll get in trouble on Apple if I use songs in the show. And so I can talk about music without actually letting you hear it, which is why I made the playlists. So I stopped talking about music essentially because of that, because it felt kind of fruitless to just keep talking about it and not being able to share it with you. But I know a lot of you missed that. So you got Taylor. Here's something new that some of you may be interested in checking out. And it's a brand new single released by a band calling itself Stanley Simmons. Now, those of you who are hip to your classic rock and roll will recognize the names Stanley and Simmons as surnames of the 2 principal members of Kiss. You're familiar with Kiss, right? And so Stanley Simmons is the Sons of Kiss, all right? It is Evan Stanley, son of Paul Stanley, and Nick Simmons, son of Gene Simmons. And these two guys have known each other their whole damn lives, but never really played together before. But got to jamming out in LA one day and started realizing, hey, we got kind of a vibe here, and decided to put a project together. And the first song has been released. It's called Body Down. And if you are a Kiss fan, if you have followed Gene and Paul lo these many decades, this is nothing like anything they've ever done. Nothing like anything they've ever done. But what it is really cool, and I like it a lot. This song, Body Down, I think some of the commenters on YouTube do perhaps a better job than I can of describing this sound, which is nothing like classic rock and roll or glam rock or anything. It's nothing like Kiss. You wouldn't associate this at all with Kiss. It's like acoustically driven. It's got kind of a shuffly, percussive thing going on, kind of a driving, upbeat thing. In my mind, it's drop tuned, all right? I'm not a guitar expert, but it sounds to me like it's played in drop D on acoustic guitar. Kind of cool. And for that reason, and the vocal harmonies, a lot of vocal harmonies in it, really catchy, drop tuned, acoustic. Makes me think a little bit of Alice in Chains. Makes me think a little bit, and I delight in saying it, of King's X. Because those two bands also played drop tuned. King's X were kind of the pioneer of playing in drop D back in the late 80s. But with these layered harmonies on top of it, this is a really cool song. Really catchy, really hooky. But let's consult the experts, shall we? One person in the YouTube comments on the video described it as, quote, like a rocked up Simon and Garfunkel. Yeah, that tracks. Another described it as having a Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young vibe. Absolutely does have that. Think of songs like Horse with No Name by America. It's got that kind of vibe to it. Somebody else commented on the lush, layered harmonies that feel straight out of the 60s, 70s Laurel Canyon scene. And that's pretty cool. One of the things that I do like and I do miss about talking about music is that songs lead to the kind of arcane and strange places, the strange history, the strange geography, the strange cultural touch points that I really like to talk about, and Laurel Canyon is one of them. I didn't know I was going to talk about Laurel Canyon until I listened to this song by Stanley Simmons. And those of you who are music nerds or history nerds will know this, but Laurel Canyon is a neighborhood off the Strip in LA, which was a real center, particularly musically, of the 60s, 70s counterculture scene. You go back a long, long way on this podcast, back to an episode I did about the Rolling Stones and that big free concert they did in 69, that kind of response to Woodstock where a dude got murdered in the front row. We talked on a couple episodes about the 60s, 70s, particularly the 60s counterculture movement. Ram Dass, psychedelics, give peace a chance, response to the Vietnam War, all of this kind of mind-opening stuff. There's a whole musical vibe that went with that. The 60s, the protest music, all that stuff, which involved Crosby, Stills, Nash, The Doors, a lot of that stuff. A lot of it came out of this Laurel Canyon neighborhood in the 60s and 70s, where these musicians lived and congregated. Johnny Mitchell, Jim Morrison, Graham Parsons, members of the Eagles, members of the Monkees, Carole King, Frank Zappa, all these cats together and at different times were living in Laurel Canyon. It became this kind of hippie hub, this musical hippie hub, Neil Young, where a lot of these artists came together and they produced music out of Laurel Canyon. Johnny Mitchell has a record to that effect. And for a period of time, Laurel Canyon was producing a lot of this kind of acoustically driven 60s counterculture music. And what happened, which I think happens in a lot of music neighborhoods, is the drugs came in. And then gangs were fighting over control of the drug trade in the Laurel Canyon neighborhood, which eventually led to, and I don't do true crime on this podcast, but something called the Wonderland murders in 1981. Drug trade in Laurel Canyon was run by something called the Wonderland Gang. Sounds dreamy to me. A lot of fun. Something went down. 4 cats got murdered, beaten with pipes and hammers to death. Fun, right? Sounds like the end of the counterculture to me. That was 1981, and the whole area had become kind of drug-infested, crime-infested, and I think a lot of the counterculture stuff was long over by then. But there's a moment in time, there is a cultural musical touchstone, which is Laurel Canyon. And there are documentaries about this. And one of the things, as I said, I like about talking about music is that it pulls you into these weird places. I'm talking about Opalite as a substance. I'm talking about Laurel Canyon. And music is a really great kind of hook for pulling you into different weird cultural, historical stuff. And the Laurel Canyon thing is fascinating. If you can picture Johnny Mitchell and Jim Morrison and Crosby, Stills and Nash just kind of hanging out in somebody's backyard, playing together, writing songs, doing the thing, smoking weed, doing the counterculture hippie thing. It's kind of cool. And so at least one person has said this song by Stanley Simmons harkens back to that kind of vibe of Laurel Canyon, which I think is really cool. And it's not what you expect. It's not what you expect from the sons of an anthemic, iconic hard rock and roll band from the 70s and 80s. Very, very weird. And it's not a sensibility I expected, but the lush harmonies is bang on. That's the King's X thing that I hear, apart from the drop tuning. And this song, Body Down, is really cool, and I like it a lot. Really hooky, really vibey, and some really, really terrific vocal harmonies. Video is weird. Don't quite get the video. I mean, the vibe, the point of the song is, the chorus says, end of days, ain't no grave that can hold my body down. And come what may, ain't no grave that can hold my body down. Which is in itself kind of a Laurel Canyon philosophy. If you're looking at the doors of perception, if you're looking at these people who were experimenting with LSD, people who are getting into all these psychedelics and having their minds opened, man, to notions of reincarnation, to notions of life beyond the planes in which we live physically. And I think that's what they're getting at with this song. Ain't no grave that can hold my body down. I ain't gonna be dead. The spirit lives on, you know? And the video's kind of strange. You see these two white-clad, kind of hippie-looking guys, Stanley and Simmons, wandering through the woods, and then they are set upon by what appear to be wood nymphs. Sprites. Beautiful women all. And there's this dance that they do, quite literally. And then eventually they get kind of sucked in, and then you see them tied to a pyre and then eventually lit on fire. And I don't know what the message is. I guess that we're all going to die, but at least you can die surrounded by beautiful women. I'm not quite sure. I think that was a Monty Python thing. There's far too much peril. It's a strange video. I don't really care all that much about it. I like the song, though. Body Down by Stanley Simmons. It's really cool. And those of you who are not big hard rock fans and would hear that the sons of Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons of a project might not even bother listening because you make certain assumptions about what it sounds like. But in fact, if you're into that kind of 60s, 70s folk rock vibe, this is really, really good. It's really, really good. And I dig it. And I think the message, I don't know. I think the message is about, I don't know what the message is about. I think it's got a spiritual vibe, and it's got, if you watch the video, there's a lot of kind of what seems to be pagan symbolism happening. I don't know, maybe they're just trying to be cool. And it does look cool, but I really like the song. And so I'm interested to know what else they've got. If you haven't listened to it, go check it out, especially if you are into that kind of 60s, 70s folk rock vibe. It really does harken back to that in an unexpected way. I did not see that coming at all when I knew I was checking out music by the sons of Paul and Gene. Really, really cool. So go listen to that, Body Down by Stanley Simmons. And if you're interested in musical history, go online and look into Laurel Canyon. There are documentaries about the whole scene that was kind of happening there in the 60s and 70s. A real one of the hearts of the counterculture that wasn't in San Francisco. Pretty freaking cool. Some interesting history. I'm going to drop you one more real quick, just because 3 feels better than 2. There's another song I heard that I really, really like. It's called All the Wolves I Have Known, and it's by a band called Color of Fire. And I didn't know this, and it happens to me a lot, where I watch a video that was just released by what I think is a brand new band, and then I find out it isn't. This band, Color of Fire, is an alt-rock band from England who were apparently for a minute a thing 25 years ago, 25 years ago. Had a record in the early 2000s called Pearl Necklace, I know, which was kind of a big deal, gained kind of a following at the time. And then for some reason in 2005, the band broke up and the members went their separate ways and did a bunch of musical stuff that you may have heard of. Okay, that's cool. And then people have been clamoring for them to get back together ever since, and they just flat out refused to do so. I don't know the story here. I don't know how much drama was involved. But all of a sudden, they just popped up and said, hey, here's the new song. And that song is All the Wolves I Have Known. And the way I do this is I go on YouTube and I have a playlist, a private playlist. And when I see a new song that's released in the past couple of weeks, I'll just add it to my music playlist. And then eventually I just begin to listen to them all. And if I like it, I might decide to talk about it. I don't talk about stuff I don't like. That's not the vibe of this program. And so I hear a whole lot of stuff that I don't like or am lukewarm about. This one I liked right away. It's this, it's an alt/indie rock tune for sure. Guitar driven, guitar, bass, drums. And it's got just a dark overtone to it. Really catchy. Singer's got a really cool voice. Really catchy. And it sounds like an early 2000s alt rock song. If those of you who are around and were listening to that kind of music back in the day, sounds like that. And I really like it. And I would play it for you if I friggin' could. But it's got a dark overtone, cool chorus. Really catchy again. Catchy helps. And then this really interesting turn happens toward the end where it drops into this kind of halftime Black Sabbath feeling riff. Very unexpected, but heavy. Really heavy. And I'm like, yeah, cool, man. Nice turn. And then it kind of plays out on this Sabbath riff. And I can't say a whole lot more about it except it's just a catchy, kind of heavy alt-rock song. And if you miss music from the late 90s, early 2000s that had that kind of alt-rock vibe, here we have Color of Fire. Color spelled properly with the U. And I just kind of dig it. So if you're in your travels looking for new music to check out, if you're not a Swiftie, then maybe not Taylor. But if you open your mind just a little bit, like they did in Laurel Canyon, you might enjoy the Taylor Swift song and video. But definitely check out the Stanley Simmons song, Body Down. I think it's really freaking cool, and I'm very interested to know what else they're going to release. And if you miss the alt-rock scene of 20 years ago, Color of Fire, All the Wolves I Have Known. Go check that out, too. And if you've heard some new stuff lately that you think I might enjoy, send it my way. I am perpetually fascinated by the level to which I enjoy shoegaze music. So much of what I put on my possibilities playlist is shoegazy stuff. Droney, ethereal, effects-driven, dark, kind of trancey shoegaze music, which is really surprising because I didn't realize that was me as a listener. But so much of what catches my ear is that. Neither of these songs is that, but a lot of what I've put on that maybe list is. And I've talked about shoegaze before because I've played a lot of or talked about a lot of artists from that genre along the way. So I'm listening to new music again is the point. And I intend to talk more about it. And maybe I will put together another referenced on the podcast playlist. It is early in the year, so we could perhaps do that now. Okay, maybe. I'm still toying with a newsletter. I'm still toying with an email list, which they say is what you're supposed to do. My contract, my regular employment contract, ends this week, and so that's a double-edged sword because it will free up a lot of time for me to begin to pursue my own Opalite again, kids, just a little bit more, which means I have theoretically more time to dedicate to this show and its accoutrement and whatever else it is I decide to do. The other side of that sword is not getting paid, which is something I will have to wrestle with, which is one of those speed bumps that you sometimes encounter when you are choosing your own happiness. And I don't think I can drive this point home enough, kids. Life is short. If you are unhappy, if you are in circumstances in which you feel trapped, circumstances that you don't enjoy, get out of them. Stop it. You can choose your own happiness, just like Taylor says. Now the sky is opalite. That is man-made. That is self-made. It falls upon you to choose to leave that table at which you're starving and find one where you will be fed. Yes, it can be scary. Yes, there can be setbacks and speed bumps. You have to take the long view of where you will be upon the other side of those speed bumps. And it falls to you, gentle listener, to choose your happiness, to find your opalite, to make your own fulfillment. You and me both. Thank you ever so much for listening. I have to drink more coffee and then go to work. Hope you're well. Ratings and reviews always welcome. Please do me a solid, throw me a line. Give me a rating and review on Apple. I haven't had one in a while. Please do share these episodes. Please do let me know if you're listening. Please do let me know if there's stuff I should check out. Please do let me know how you're doing. Hope you're surviving these frigid temperatures. For God's sakes, choose yourselves. Please choose yourselves. Please find your opalite, kids. Time's a-wasting. Talk to you later.